Hi there, I'm Rose Hedberg, a writing coach for Learn Grant Writing, and in this video I want to talk all about how you can find international funding. So let's jump right in. Let's face it, sourcing international funding can be difficult, but that doesn't mean that there aren't international nonprofits that need funding to do the work they want to do abroad. I've been working with international nonprofits, and I've also sourced information from industry leaders who've been writing grants for international nonprofits for years. And here we're going to talk about 5 tips, creative tips, where you can find and source international funding. Tip number 1, use Instrumentl. Yes. We love Instrumentl at Learn Grant Writing. I love it as a grant writer. It is a database that gives you access to so many foundations and federal grants, whatever you need, all in one place. And you can search for international funding. If you go to set up your project details, number 2, you have the option to list a country or even a continent. And you can list that alongside your US-based location or just search for an international opportunity. Pro tip here, when you are searching, Instrumentl is going to bring up opportunities that might have the automated response of anywhere in the world. It's going to be very important that you go to the funder information and you scroll down to either pull up their 990 report, or if they have information, you're going to see who and where they're funding. This map shows me that they do in fact fund international projects. Whew. As well as you can look at the names of the organizations to see what other international nonprofits are receiving funding from this foundation. So Instrumentl is a great way for you to search for international funding. Tip number 2, use a grant database called Devex. Devex Pro Funding is more for international funding, which is great for what you need it for. I do want to say that Instrumentl and Devex are paid plans, but they have some benefits to them. On their homepage, you're going to want to scroll and start with funding. With funding, you're going to type in some keywords and your location. Let's say we're looking for funding related to health and we're looking for results in Kenya. We're going to hit search, and it's going to populate results on not necessarily opportunities that are open, but these are either contracts awarded, programs, or funding in the region. This is helpful because it can give you an idea of who are those big funders funding in the region. You probably already know, but this is a great way to add in any additional funders you may not have thought of. So they have a nice graph here that breaks it down. Over here on the left, you can see who the funding is from. Bill and Melinda Gates, Japan, international development. So this is another tool for you to source international funding. Tip number 3 is for you to review 990 reports. So 990 reports are the tax forms that the IRS government requires tax-exempt organizations to fill out. And on these forms, they have to report funding they've received, or foundations need to report funding they've given. This is a great way for you to read 990 reports, check out who's receiving funding and for how much. Let's say you're in Instrumentl, you click on an opportunity, you can either open the extended link to view the 990 report in your full screen, or you can scroll down and see that it's been populated for you. Now 990s can be dense. What you're really looking for is usually near the end. So this is 33 pages. I know for sure because I've looked at this one before. Starting on page 18 for this tax-exempt form, they are listing all the grants and contributions paid during the year. Why is this great? Well, you can see exactly what organizations have received funding, for how much, and usually the purpose of the grant is listed. This is an opportunity for you to discover maybe that they give unrestricted funding, but they don't necessarily list that in their grant guideline. So use 990 reports to source information. It also is a great way if you can't find a website, if you found a foundation through Instrumentl, but you're maybe looking for contact information. I found here, I was looking at this foundation, they didn't have a website, but on their 990 report, they did have a website. You also might be able to find who the chairperson is and other information about the organization on their tax-exempt forms. Now I know you're probably thinking, well, I haven't paid for Instrumentl or Devex Pro. How can I look at 990 reports? We got you, don't worry. The IRS actually has a website and a search tool that you can search for organizations or foundations based on EIN or name. Candid.org also has a great function for you to search 990s with a little more information on the nonprofit. Tip number 4, I want you to follow the funding. Now this requires you to put in a little bit of extra work because the grant database is not upfronting the work for you. But if you just go to your local search engine and what you're doing is you're looking for similar organizations in the same geographical location that are getting funded. So for example, I might say nonprofits serving Kenya and they're working to cure cervical cancer. And you're gonna hit search, see what comes up. I'm gonna click on the top result here, which is cure cervical cancer. And what you're doing is you're quickly scanning the website for key terms, partners, financials, or supporters. So we are scrolling here, who we are. Aha, we have partners. So partners, again, this gives us an idea of this specific organization, who they're either working with in the region, or sometimes it might list foundations. So you'll know that that foundation has given this nonprofit money to do the work in X location. That might be an opportunity for you. So following the funding means that you're working backwards to see who else is in the region and how they're getting funded. If you do happen to have Devex Pro, they have a nice function under funding. You would go to find partners. And let's say again that I want to work with health in Kenya. I have the opportunity to type in the organization or maybe the location and use a keyword. I know I want to look specifically at this organization in Kenya. And though this grant database doesn't give you open calls for proposals, it does give you information like this. Let's say we're looking at this organization that does operate in Kenya. I can learn more about it and I can see the contract awards that they've received. So I know exactly who's given them big bucks to do exactly what they're doing to make a difference in this international location. And that, my friends, is how you follow the funding. And my last tip number 5 for looking for international funding is to ask the community. A very unique part of working international is that you often have an international team that is on the ground, has their ear to the community. So it wouldn't hurt to ask them, who would they think, or what other foundations might your nonprofit be interested in looking into? And never underestimate the power of social media. If you post on Facebook, maybe LinkedIn would be a great place to start. Put out a message. What sort of foundation should we be looking into to fund project in X location? Who knows what'll come up? I believe in the power of asking your community so much that I actually work with a nonprofit that connects Harvard alumni to nonprofits that need funding. And what I mean by that is they're working to leverage their community status to help nonprofits get in touch with the foundations that they need. Super cool, super amazing the results that we're seeing, and it stems from asking the community. So there you have it, some quick, easy tips, 5 tips for you to source international funding opportunities, Instrumentl, Devex Pro, 990s, following the funding, and asking your community. But we want to hear from you. What is working? What have you tried from this list? And what have we forgotten? Drop us some comments below. And as always, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you never miss an awesome video like this and tips on grant writing in the future. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy writing.